Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee Time with Almeida. Today we have on farming herbalist Jessyloo. Come on, Jessyloo.
Hey there. Good morning.
Good morning. What's happening? How's it going today?
I'm in my yard by
This is your yard
myself
by yourself. Very peaceful, a little chilly.
with a lot of plants.
So we'll get the formalities out of the way. Are you drinking coffee this morning somewhere? You had some coffee already? Nice.
I had some whole beans from Coastal Roasters in Tiverton, light roast.
All right, so tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about where you're actually located.
So I'm on Aquidneck Island in Rhode Island, which is Portsmouth, Middletown, and Newport, and it's the ancestral homelands of the Narragansett Nation. And we have less than an acre here, and I've been here since I was 6 years old, with some travel time in between, but I'm back.
Yeah, we met in Providence, I believe, at the Grange.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on that awesome herb walk that you took us through the city. So we did like this city herb walk, literally, and checked out all the crazy stuff that was growing all around the place.
Yeah, a lot of medicinals are outside the police station.
Yes, it was very interesting. They have a lot of mint there. I think they still have it. Every time I drive by there, I'm like, oh, look at all that mint they have growing.
Yeah.
So what are you going to show us today?
Well, I thought it would be fun to talk about the weeds that are growing in my yard, because they're probably growing in a lot of your yards too. Edible, medicinal, beautiful. And I like when folks find the wild edibles that live near them, because they have a similar upbringing and they experience the same things that you experience. So they can be your best allies.
I like it. What do you got growing out there?
All right, so we're going to start in my compost pile here. So I'm going to switch my view around. Here's my compost pit. We've started digging some out of it, but even as you get from the grass into where it changes into this understory, right? So we're looking at habitat here. We have where the grass civilization meets the wild. And right on the edge, I have some escapee catnip. Granted, that came from my garden. And then next to it, some lemon balm, again coming from the garden. And then this one here, you might recognize, little dandelion.
Oh, nice.
So this one you probably have in your yard. And you can see the leaf shape really looks like teeth. It's got this triangle shape, and dandelions are hairless underneath. So that's one way to identify them, to make sure. There's a lot of dandelion lookalikes. And we're eating leaves right now, and you can pick flowers to put in vinegar and make a little salad dressing or a nutritive tonic for digestion. Actually helpful from mouth to anus, all the way.
So can you throw that in some hot water? How would you suggest preparing that?
Well, the dandelion leaves, just eat with whatever you're eating. They're super mellow right now because they're new and they're early. So as the season goes on, they'll get more bitter. So if you're hesitant of the bitter flavor, now is really the time to start working up your bitter abilities. So yeah, leaves in salad, and the flowers you can pick. Sorry, I'm trying to turn this around. The flowers you can pick to put in vinegar, like I said, but also, dang it, you could pick all of the little yellow flower pieces off. All right, so I'm going to pick you. Thank you, dandelion. See how there's green and yellow?
Yep.
The yellow part is tasty. Actually can be used for pain relief. And the green part is very bitter. So if you were going to make like dandelion cookies, there's all sorts of recipes online, seriously. but you would want to take this green part off because it's super bitter.
Have you heard of any bartenders making bitters with dandelion greens?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Urban Moonshine does dandelion and burdock as their go-to for bittering, like nutritive tonics. So something that's gentle. But also pretty tasty. Yeah. People use the root too. You could dig the root now and chop it up and save it, dry it. Definitely chop it before and clean it before. Because if you end up with a dried, full length, dirty dandelion root, you're pretty much going to have to compost it. It's like impossible to get the dirt off after. I've done that too many times.
Jason Kindness says good morning.
Good morning.
And we have Derek Quinton on, says, have you, do you know the book, The Lost Book of Remedies, Claude Davis?
No, but I feel like I've heard of it recently. Actually, I think I saw an Instagram ad. And if you want, I can talk about some of the authors that I do reference, or like some of the sort of internet prevalent herbalists.
Yeah, if we have some time at the end, we can do that. Otherwise,
Okay.
we can definitely put some links up later on.
I do want to say on that note, though, that if you are going to search either in books or the internet, that a rule of thumb is to find the information from 3 sources. So the idea is that if 3 folks are telling you the same thing, you can probably use the plant for that. Okay, whereas gotcha. If you hear one person who's done this experiment and they're doing something kind of different and you don't hear it from anybody else, you could experiment on yourself. But rule of thumb is if you found it in 3 trusted sources, that's the way to go. So another plant I have down here in the compost edge, the ecotone, where the forest meets the grass, is this dead nettle. So it's not actually a nettle. I'm trying to make it so it's not blurry. It's not actually a nettle. It's called dead nettle because it doesn't have a sting. Thank you. And it has these little purple flowers here. Gosh, this is blurry. I apologize.
It's good. We can see it. That's good.
And it has a square stem. 1, 2, 1, 2. The leaves are growing opposite from each other, so on either side of the stalk in the same place. And it's got like a hollow stem. It's pretty squishy. And this one is also edible, but I like to use it as a filler because the taste of it isn't necessarily my favorite. No offense. But like if you wanted to do like a dandelion pesto, maybe mix this with the dandelion and it will cut some of the bitter. Or you could, I can essentially, I'll just start picking different plants and by the end we'll have a whole array of green things to eat. So we have dandelion and dead nettle. So this is, the dead nettle is Lamium purpurea. So it's purple lamium. And it will totally take over. So it seeds in the spring, and then it stays in the soil, and then it seeds in the fall, stays in the soil, and then comes up in the spring super early. So that's why it's already blooming. And when I had my farm, it would cover the entire property, and it does die back relatively early. So I was using it as this sort of like weed cover crop, but I'm not sure if it did anything to the soil and sort of inhibited other growth. I never got that far, but just be wary. If you want to do an experiment in your yard, clearly other things are growing here, but yeah, it dies back in like a month. So you can eat it, you can leave it. Maybe the bunnies eat it. The bunnies like my echinacea. They're not eating this dead nettle.
Yeah, likely story. They're like, how about you guys eat this and not the stuff that I really want you to not eat?
Yeah, which I can't really feel bad about because they're just trying to boost their immune systems.
I try to have like diversion plants that are okay for the animals to eat.
Oh, totally. Yeah. That's like a standard method of like you said, diverting the animals.
Sometimes
Someone
it
I
works.
just saw.
Yeah.
Someone I saw is growing like plants in their greenhouse specifically to attract aphids, so that all the aphids will eat that plant and not the other ones. So yeah.
Oh, I like that.
It's like an integrated pest management IPM. I've also seen folks. Well, this one sheep and cow farm I worked for, they had coyotes and they hung a dead coyote from a tree.
Oh,
to say like, don't come in here.
Did it work?
In that area.
What are the coyotes?
They had a
like,
big
oh.
farm. Okay, so another plant I want to show you is St. Johns Wort.
Oh, nice. I don't think I've ever seen it growing in the wild.
In the sun. Dun, dun, dun. So it's got this red stem. See that?
Yeah.
And it's all coming from the same spot here. There's like a whole clump right here. And the roots will transplant relatively well. It can grow in, pretty crappy soil, but it's here in this compost pile. So see how it's all coming from that one spot. And then it'll spread. But the thing with St. Johns Wort that you can identify is, thank you, is the leaves. Let's see if I can get this with my camera. Oh my gosh, this is going to be impossible. Can you see that it has holes in it?
Yes.
So it's got little see-through leaves, and then it's so blurry. I apologize. It's my first time on Zoom. Anyway, it also has little black spots on the back. Ugh. But yeah, the little black spots and the. Can you see it like that? And the holes through it, that shows you that it's St. Johns Wort. And the idea with the doctrine of signatures is that a plant's physical appearance will tell you what it can help the body to do. The way I see herbal medicine or food is that it is explaining to your body how to do something as opposed to doing it for your body. And so in the case of St. Johns Wort, the plant will encourage your body to do something. And with the holes in the leaf, it's this idea of letting the light in. There's actual holes in the plant. The light can penetrate it and go through it. So I'm sure that most folks have heard of using St. Johns Wort for depression or some sort of inner turmoil, right? So it helps you to open up and let the light in. So what I had actually my neighbor on an herb walk suggest is to extract it into vinegar. It'll turn red from the hypericum in it. So when you crush a leaf, it also turns red, or kind of like dark blood red, like almost black. And so when it's flowering, which will be the summer solstice, June 21st, she puts it in vinegar and then she saves that for the winter. And then she uses that as her salad dressing in the winter.
Oh, wow.
Right.
I like that.
Like capturing that brightness and warmth from the summer, putting it in vinegar to preserve it for the winter. So
what kind of vinegar? Apple cider or something more mild?
Yeah. Well, apple cider vinegar has its health benefits, being toning to the digestion, and if you get it with the mother, it has some of the enzymes and other nutritive, fermentation properties in it. But you could use anything. I mean, if you wanted to do like a champagne vinegar, or really at this point, it's a pandemic. Use what you have in your, use
Okay.
what you can find. Whatever vinegar. I mean, I have some old like red wine vinegar that in a pinch I could use, you know?
All right. Okay. So anything's open.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right. And so there's another one over here that you folks may have been hearing about, which is mullein. Dun, dun. It's got pretty big leaves here.
Oh, that thing is gigantic.
Yeah.
Already. I think so. You are about 45 minutes south of me. It's like southeast. That thing is gigantic. So,
I've seen bigger.
you're probably about 30 miles south of where I'm at, and you can tell the climate is definitely. When I was down that way the other day, I could see the things are growing more than they are growing here. I don't know if it's because of where we're located next to the ocean or what it is, but
yes, totally. I'm surrounded by water, and the ocean is heating up, and so my oh my gosh, I just found a plant.
What'd you find? What'd you find?
I will be back. Look, it's growing out the side here. Can you tell I have a kid?
Right.
This is Viola Tricolor. Oh, it's just a little Johnny Jump Up.
Nice.
I just love them so much. It's like growing, like the seeds were probably in the middle of this compost. Here's the top we've been digging down. And then it just found some light and popped out of the side. It's got a little bloom.
That's amazing. Yeah. So those guys self-seed in the fall, right? And they're like they look like little star pouches, right? Kind of.
Yeah. This is they call it the stepmother because it ends up with like two little petals on the top, one big petal, and then two on the side. And I don't know, they equated it to some like separation of family, but I don't really like that name. It's also called heartsease. So maybe the idea that like if there's pain in your family, you can use this.
So what would you use that for? Can you use it for anything?
Yeah. So this you could do the whole. It's also in the mint family, but you could use. No, sorry, that's wrong. It's not in the mint family. It's in the Violaceae family, the Viola family. So this you could use the whole top, flowers. This one's pretty dirty. Flowers, leaves, and you can make that into a tea for kids with upset stomachs, adults too, elderly. Salads, just eating it. Okay, so then we'll add that to our wild salad, some of that.
Nice.
Yeah, and the flowers are really fun. So this one's going to probably be purpley with a little yellow on it. And it's one of those plants that once you show a kid how to harvest it, they are all over it. They just want to like find it. So you can do little scavenger hunts in your yard too. And something I have to do with my kid is make sure that even if I know that he knows what the plant looks like, I have him, I mean, he's almost 3. I have them show it to me every time, just for practice.
Sure.
And I try to tell them that there's poison ivy and stinging nettle and things that we don't want to eat, but also show all the good things. And, I can't like sit him down and say, here, try this broccoli, Rob, in this dish that I made. But we can go outside and I'll show him dandelion leaves and he just wants to eat that over and over. So.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, I feel like if you empower a kid to go out and pick their own, they're pretty excited to eat it. Even if it's green.
I'm gonna have to try that later on today.
Yeah. Yeah, Viola's a good one to go with. But so back to mullein anyway. The leaves are really soft, lots and lots of hairs on them. And I usually use the flower stalks. That's my go-to with it. See all these veins on the bottom too. But you can use the leaves for dry, irritating coughs. That's why people are all about it right now. You can make a tea with it, with the leaves. So you would harvest the bottom ones, kind of like you would harvest kale, like come around the bottom, leave these that are not as fresh, and then leave the majority of it up here so it can still photosynthesize. And I prefer it fresh, but you can dry it and use it too. Anyway, so you can do a tea, or you can do a poultice where you would put it in, like get it wet and put a wet washcloth around it, and then put the leaf directly on your chest, or put it inside the washcloth and put it on your chest. And that can be another way to loosen up and moisten the esophagus, lungs area. It gets this really, really tall spike. And so this idea of like having a clear passage, again, the doctrine of signatures, it also lubricates the joints if you were to have it internally, and like help lower back pain. So again, this like straight spine idea, standing tall. And then when the flowers come up, the stalk will be super, super tall. I mean, probably taller than me, but you can save the flowers yellow with garlic in oil, and you'll have to heat that up, but look up a recipe. I'm not going to describe that now. You use it for earaches with kids too. That's pretty tried and true. And actually, I was just reading from Rosalie de la Forêt that you can do it with St. Johns Wort as well in that oil.
Nice.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. So, any questions?
Jason Trenholm says, this is very interesting.
I have another. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, Jeff says, good morning. Good morning, Jeff. So yeah, Jason lives in New Bedford, so not too far from where you're at.
Oh, sweet. Oh my gosh, I just started following this place called Haskell Gardens in New Bedford, and they have so many medicinals on their property. And I heard they just opened back up. So you can walk around socially distant and view the plants, which is great.
Cool. I think I've heard of it before.
Yeah, it's I don't know how big it is. I haven't actually been yet, but I am excited to go there. I still bring a mask when I go to public places, even if I'm going to be in a park, just in case you have to be around folks close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
do you have like
do
you have a straight up mask, or are you using a handkerchief?
Well, right now I have this around me. I try to do 4 layers of fabric if I'm going into a store, because I'm going to be a little bit closer to people. But when I'm outside, I bring something usually that goes down and I can tuck into my shirt so that I can breathe.
Yeah. I had like this bandana on my face the other day, and it kept like moving. I kept moving it. I'm like, I'm touching the bandana. This is not helping. It's like I'm just touching my face, except I'm touching a piece of fabric instead of my face. I'm like, this is not. I'm like freaking out. Oh my god.
Yeah. Actually, so wait, I do want to say something on that mask note. So during the Black Plague, when they would have those huge beak masks, you know what I'm talking about? That imagery, it was like the bringer of death, it started to seem like, because it would be the doctor wearing this huge beak mask. And they had that elongated piece in front of their mouth and nose because they would stuff it with herbs.
Oh, really?
And so now I'm thinking of like how to make some sort of pocket, like folks are sewing masks with pockets for filters, but let's stuff herbs in there.
That's pretty. Do you have your finger over the microphone? Your mic, maybe?
Oh, I totally do. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Yeah. Let's stuff plants in those masks.
That's actually pretty interesting. That's I love that. I'm gonna write that down.
Like something antimicrobial that you could put in there. Like I wouldn't do the mullein necessarily, because the little hairs on its leaves could come loose, and then you're breathing that straight in, and that's not really ideal. Like when you process a lot of mullein leaves, you actually want to wear a mask. And same with a lot of dried nettle or other plants. You know, masks have been in fashion for a while in the herbal community. So maybe you might want to put like sprigs of thyme in your mask or some lavender. You could actually look up, the plague, some sort of combination of words that would bring you here. But it was sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. You could look that up, but also during the same time was when the Four Thieves story was happening, where now it's now it's known as like a Four Thieves vinegar. People usually make it into vinegar, but they had plants that they would put in their mass, if you will, to rob graves of all the people that died from the plague, which is a very morbid, sad story. But out of it came this blend of herbs that, again, these folks who were, going right into the belly of the beast were using to protect themselves. So yeah, thyme, lavender. It almost kind of sounds like herbs de Provence. Like all the culinary herbs. I mean, that's probably what they had on hand. Sage and
I have a question here from a Jason Trenholm. He says, "Do you have allergies? If so, how does it affect your craft, if at all?"
oh, great question. Yeah, I totally do. And what ends up happening is when the trees start blooming, because all winter there hasn't been pollen in the air, then the trees, so the maple is usually first. I saw it in March this year, possibly February. And then the willow, and maple might have sticky pollen, but willow definitely has pollen that goes through the air. So that starts coming out. And personally, for me, since it's like my body's first interaction with it, I start to feel a little drainage. And then it'll happen again when the grass starts blooming, because that's just so prevalent. And a couple of plants that you can turn to in those instances. First, you would want to work with your liver. So when in doubt, treat the liver, they say in Chinese medicine, but also the liver is what detoxifies your body. And if your liver is very busy, and then you add pollen on top of it to work through, then you probably will experience allergy symptoms, because your liver says, can you hold on a minute? Like cycle that around take that another trip around, then come back when I'm not as busy. If that analogy helps you understand how important it is for the liver to be on top of things. So the dandelion and other bitter plants like burdock can help to tone the liver. Also, red reishi mushroom is good for allergies, in that you take it to tone your immune system. And reishi is not something that you would become dependent on. The idea is you take it daily for, however long it takes. Maybe it's a month or two or a couple of months. And your body gets to the point where it's not having that overreactive histamine reaction. So red reishi can be used to tone and sort of stop that over time. Whereas in the moment, for spring allergies specifically, you could use nettle, which I have some over here I can show you. So stinging nettle actually has histamine present, and it's also helpful as an antihistamine, in the sense that it helps your body to stop reacting so much to the allergens. And in Rhode Island, we call it 7-minute itch.
I actually drink reishi almost like every other night in a tea.
Oh, great. Yeah, this is nettle, stinging nettle. Here's my little tiny patch. And it's growing with some dead nettle that doesn't have the sting. And then here is the stinging nettle. Now, if you grab it like this, it won't actually sting you. It's when you brush up against it that it'll sting you. There's stinging hairs along the stem. Ugh, sorry, I don't know how to use like a focus on this thing.
No, you're good. Looks great.
Get macro, but anyway, the stinging nettle is something that you can drink in an infusion, or you can eat it. You just have to make sure you blanch it before you eat it, because it does sting, right? So that disengages the stinging hairs. And And it's also really high in minerals and vitamins. So it's a good plant to have in your system in general. It's like nature's multivitamin. And I like to pair it actually with viola because nettles can be drying and viola is moistening. So if you already have a dry constitution and then you're putting all these drying herbs, so nettles is also good for the urinary tract and it's a diuretic. So it will send the water out of your body to help cleanse it in a way, like get all that crap out or piss out, I suppose.
So hey, I have a Dawn Hansen asking, do you have a web page right now?
No, I just have an Instagram account that's at Herbaloo,
okay.
Herbaloo.
I'm gonna make sure all of your links and we get some references down today, and we'll share that out later on through the Coffee Time website, and we'll tag you so people can find you on Instagram.
Cool. Do you want to see this moistening viola before I go?
Oh yeah. We gotta call it a day soon. But yeah, show us some more stuff.
That's what I do with my therapist. I'm like, how much time do I have? All right, I got 10 minutes. What can I put in here? Okay, so the viola is pretty small right now, but it has heart-shaped leaves. You can kind of see that one. There's a better example.
Yep, I get that card right now.
Yeah. And then the classic purple viola flowers. And anyway, so this one is very moistening, and this actually is good for your lymphatic system. So I like to add this to the infusion. Now, the thing with moistening is that you would want a cold infusion. So what I would do is pick the nettle with gloves on, unless you're a professional. No, I still get sick. Pick the nettle with gloves, put it into a pint jar, do hot water on top of it, let that sit for maybe 2 hours. And at that point, the water will be room temperature, certainly cooled off. You could even put it in the fridge at this point or leave it on your counter. But that's when you add the violet leaves. So you're getting the hot water extraction with the nettle. Then you're using that same jar and putting in the mucilaginous herbs that want to be extracted in cold water. Because now the water's cold. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so you could also do that with marshmallow if you have, or like a common mallow. That's another weed you might find in your yard. Also moistening. And then I would leave it overnight and then drink it the next morning.
Awesome. Well, this is amazing. Thanks for coming on today. Do you have?
You're welcome.
I have. Off topic? What's your favorite thing about the apocalypse that's doing to us, or doing for us, or letting us do?
I really appreciate that we are looking for creative solutions to long outstanding problems. So as far as how to sit with ourselves, I don't think a lot of people in like busy America were really sitting with themselves.
No.
And looking at how you can be self-sufficient, in other words, maybe sustainable with what you have on hand. And I really love seeing folks getting outside as much as possible. It's actually quite humorous to see how many people are like, oh my gosh, there's nature. I could be in nature right now.
I could have a garden.
Yeah. And so hopefully folks are not only looking within themselves to see how to be kind to themselves, but then really appreciating and honoring what nature has to offer in terms of comfort and joy.
All right. I love it. Well, let's catch up soon, and we'll get some links out so we can share with the folks so they can go on the hunt for their own herb weeds in their backyard. We don't call them weeds anymore.
Friends.
Friends, yes. And I'm just gonna ask you to hang on there while we close the show out. And
Sure.
all right, folks. Well, today we're gonna say goodbye to Jessyloo. Jessyloo, thank you so much, Jessyloo. Everybody says thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
Tomorrow, yeah, thanks for coming on. This has been awesome. And thanks for everybody for watching, and follow us on Instagram, Almeidathon. Share and like our show. That'd be amazing. If you guys like us, share it. And we'll see you back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And we're looking forward to it. All right, awesome. We're going to leave you with the comic genius of Josh Bell.
Hello, my friend. Hello. Are you Deep Throat? Of course. Here's the information you requested. Information? I feel like there's been some kind of misunderstanding. You wanted information on the break-in? I gave it to you. That's, not exactly what I was looking for. Who's that? That's my partner. Furious Handjob. Seriously?
Coffee time with Almeida. Every weekday at 9. Won't you join me for a really fun time?